Hey everybody, Greg Harrelson here with Abe Safa. Of course, it is that time on Tuesday that we come together on the Facebook page and just talk a little bit about, growing our business. And one thing that we all have in common is we all use the Real Geeks CRM, websites, IDX, and all the different tools. So before we get started, Abe, thank you again for teaming up with me.
Hey, Greg, always a pleasure. I'm trying to open up Facebook, so give me a second.
I'm actually doing the same thing as we speak. I'm just going to go ahead and just make sure that I have a visual and if anybody has any questions. So, please, if you do have questions or comments about anything we say, or you have questions or comments on, off topic, then feel free to go ahead and put them into the Facebook page.
Greg, we're on. I made a mistake.
Okay.
We're on the wrong channel.
Okay. Oh, great. Awesome.
We're on ASA. Sorry about that.
Okay. Bye, ASA. I'll see you guys in a little while, ASA.
All right.
All right, as in, do I need to hang up or?
No, you're good. All right. Give me 1 second. I think we're good.
All right. Well, there might have been a little bit of mix up there. Abe and I have been recording for about a minute and a half. And about a minute and 15 seconds in, I think we discovered that we were streaming live on the Agent Success Academy, our coaching program's Facebook page. So sorry about that, about the confusion. But we are together as usual, Tuesday, coming together with on the Facebook page here. So I think we're good to go. Abe, is that correct?
I think so. If someone can see us and hear us on Real Geeks Facebook group, please give us a shout here. Let us know.
Okay. Yes, we are. I can see us. Okay.
Okay.
So today's conversation is a conversation that is one that I had kind of like probably an abbreviated version that I had with my company. And a lot of the conversations that we have here are conversations that are kind of inspired by what I'm coaching our agents within our operations, but also around the subject of Real Geeks or technology in general. So, I know the market has shifted. We all know the market has shifted. So if you have questions that are off subject, off topic, then go ahead and put them in the comment section while we're live. If we're not live, then go ahead and for you, if you're watching this as on a delay, then go ahead. You can put them in there also, and we'll do our best to get to them, someday in the future. But of course, if you have any now while we're live, then I'll address them, on in the next, say, 20 minutes. So Abe, double down on what works. What do you think of when you hear double down? What's the first thoughts for you?
The first thoughts that come to my mind is to determine what kind of effort you've been putting in to lead generation, especially in a normal year, but then especially these last couple of years, right? Because I kind of feel like, and I think you agree, there's been a tailwind that's been carrying a lot of agents the last couple of years. It's been somewhat easy to do transactions, right? Yes. So it's also when you have things become easier for you, you're typically more likely to take your foot off the gas a little bit and possibly get complacent, right?
Yeah.
Now we all know when you do that, eventually it's going to have an impact on your production. Just even in a normal year, right? Eventually what happens is we all work, generate a lot of leads, talk to a lot of people, and we fill up a pipeline. Okay. But then when we slow down our number of contacts we make, number of people we talk to, that pipeline slowly starts to shrink and empty out. Yeah, that's just in a normal year. Yes. Now, all of a sudden, throw in a market shift, and then things really change, right? So obviously we're in a market shift right now. The biggest complaint I'm hearing from agents is, what happened? Like I can't put anything on the contract. I can't get a listing. Like all of a sudden things have changed. And when you really look at it, what's happened is the agents that have taken a foot off the gas the last couple of years now really starting to hit. Not that tailwind is gone. Now it's really a headwind. So when I hear double down, this is the time, like, okay, now it's time to get put it into full gear and really, really, just pedal to the metal.
Yeah. 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 I get it. I think that's great. There's a lot there for me to even think about. And when I was bringing up the term double down, at least the last couple days, um, success. You've heard this, right? Success leaves clues. And when we look at real estate agents, I can think of agents, top agents. Gosh, you and I are great friends with one like Jeff Quinton that has just been a top agent for so many years. And if you really think about one of the extraordinary things about him is that he shows up every day and he lead generates. And it's every day. And he's in every market. Every day in every market, if it's good or bad. He's always just doubling down on what he knows works, which is lead generation. Like we know no matter what the market's doing, lead generation is part of a solution. If the market's going down, then generate more. If the market's going up, then generate more. Like lead generation exists in every market. It is more important though in a shifting market. Because if somebody was to ever talk about or think about how do I recession proof my business? The way you recession proof your business is that you make sure that you are in control of your lead generation activities. Now, we all share Real Geeks together. So a lot of us, we are in control of our database. Now, some of us prospect to add people to our database. Some of us use Real Leads with Real Geeks and let Real Geeks do the pay-per-click for them. And that actually builds their database. Maybe you're using the Facebook, posting tools to build your database, but you're controlling that also. You're controlling what you do to actually put people in your database, and you can control how much you're talking to the people in your database. The challenge with the hot market is we know that the agents on average talk to less people in a hot market than a shifting market. We also know that most agents' businesses decrease at the same time. So there's a correlation between decrease in business and less contacts. There's more correlation between contacts in business than market in business. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no question. It's kind of funny how in a hot market, agents talk to less people when you would think it'd be the opposite. You would think it's a hot market. There's more buyers and sellers out there. You have more conversations.
Yeah. And that's why I say double down, Abe. It's not double down because it's a cold market. It's double down on what works. And if you take your calendar right now and you look and say, okay, I've got 1 week's calendar. Like if you could print off 1 week's calendar, assuming that it repeats every week, or print off 1 month calendar and look at all the things that are in your calendar and ask yourself, do you know with certainty that's going to lead you to more business? And if you can't say with certainty that's going to lead you to more business, eliminate it. And then double down on something that you know is proven. So what are some things that you think people could double down on? Because I think that would be unfair if we talk about doubling down and we don't say, well, Greg, what are you talking about? What do you double down on?
I mean, I always have to start off with make more outbound calls.
Yes.
I mean, that's always number one on every single one of my lists. Make more contacts, talk to more people. Look, real estate is a contact game. It's a people game. It's all it is. So the first answer to every single list that you ever come up with is talk to more people. If you just did that by itself, it would have a tremendous impact on your business. Now, who do you call? Depends on what your database looks like. It depends on what your lead flow is, right? So I said make outbound calls. Now, if you can find a way, let's just say your goal is to talk to 20 people a day. If you can find a way to get 20 inbound calls for the day, then awesome, do it. Talk to those 20 people. Okay, if you can figure out how much it's going to cost you in dollar spend and advertising and marketing or whatever it may need to be to bring in 20 inbound calls a day, then that's great. That's your contest. But most of us don't. Most of us don't know how much to spend, can't even afford to spend enough money to get 20 inbound calls a day. So for those people, you make some outbound calls.
Yeah.
Call your database, sellers, buyers, centers of influence, past clients, call everybody. And if you don't know what to say, like if you don't know what to tell like someone that you might consider a cold lead or someone that just didn't come into you right away, this is the easiest time in the world to have those conversations. You just call in and just ask them what questions they have about the market that they're hearing about.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person out there has heard on the news or seen on the news or heard something about the market shifting, the market crashing, the market correcting. It's all over the place. You're not going to find a single person that hasn't heard something about that. So the easiest script right now is calling up and say, hey, look, I just wanted to check in with you real quick. I know you're hearing a lot of things right now about the real estate market. Just wanted to kind of clarify a couple of things, see if you had any questions that I can answer for you. It's really that simple. It doesn't have to be a hard sell. It's you reaching out to people. You talk to enough people in that manner. Some people are going to say, yeah, you know what is going on? Because I've actually been thinking about selling. You're going to have a percentage of people that just say that. So just make more contact, have more conversations with buyers and sellers right now.
Hey, so you know what just dawned on me is your first point is obviously make outbound calls, which I give you, and we see so eye to eye on that. But you know how many people that when you said outbound calls, they heard cold calling?
Yeah, I know.
I just want to make sure people understand Abe did not say that. Like Abe didn't even qualify who to call. An outbound call, really what I'm visualizing at the moment is take action. Like show up and get into action. Like you could show up and be like dormant. You could sit there and wait for somebody else to take action and call you. And that's what Abe is saying. Hey, look, that's cool if you got some of that, but like that's not going to grow your business probably. You need to show up and then take action, which means what action can you take? Go call somebody. Like, yes, it could be circle prospecting. Yes, it could be your centers of influence. Yes, it could be your past clients. It could be FSBOs. It could be expireds. It could be canceled if you can do that in your market. It could be your past buyers. It could be dead buyers, non-engaged buyers, engaged buyers, most active buyers, people in your database. Like, the list could go on. Rent bows, probate. I mean, the list could go on and on and on as to who to call. But what Abe said, get into action and make a call. That's just critical. And Bobby, 90 days. Bobby asks, how often do you recommend circle prospect in the same area? Bobby, typically I would say get on a routine of 90 days. Get on a routine of 90 days. You could do it in 60 if you want to really be actively trying to build a database for a specific community. Maybe you're going to institute a community domination type of plan where you're going to go all in and on one or on a few different communities in hopes that you become the household name for that community. Then maybe it'd be a 60-day rotation. But my general answer to that, Bobby, would be 90 days. Again, his question was, how often do you recommend circle prospecting the same area? Brandy says, any advice on best ways to reach out to your personal sphere and how often you recommend when it comes to outbound calls? So personal sphere, outbound calls. So I'm going to assume, Brandy, what you're really referring, what your question is, how often would you be calling your personal sphere? Great question. 90 days. So it really comes down to once a quarter. Once a quarter, you call your sphere. Now, I do believe in the meantime, you should have your sphere all set up in Real Geeks under a market activity report, getting a sold report and a market activity report, which are two different reports, once a month. So they should be getting those reports once a month, as well as a quarterly call from you. And right now, Brandy, like one of the best things to say or ways to approach your sphere right now is, hey, Brandy, it's Greg. I just wanted to check in with you. And then, you have that little, oh, hey, hey, Greg, how's it going? Hey, it's really good. Hey, I'm sure you're watching the news and you see there's a lot going on with the economy. And of course, and small little shifts in the economy can have impacts on the real estate, in real estate also. I'm just kind of curious, is there anything I can help you with? The reason why I say you can do it like that is because everyone's going to say to you, tell me what's going on in the market. Like all you got to do is say, hey, right now to them. And hey, I'm sure you're hearing about all the stuff going on with the economy. Obviously, slight shift in the economy can have a major impact on the real estate market. Is there anything I can help you with? Yeah, tell me, how is the market going? And then that'll create the conversation right there. So it's simple. It's just we got to get into action. So doubling down. I'm just pulling up my list because I had, one of the things that I said is double down on texting your prospects on a daily basis. Now, what I mean, now we know that if you text your leads, say somebody opts into Real Geeks, they give you all their information, they've been getting some alerts from you, send them a text. Hey, there's a few more properties hitting the market that might meet your needs. Are you still thinking about purchasing, or are you available to take a look at properties within the next week? Can you look at properties in the next couple of days? Just text something like that. Now, what does doubling down mean? Because all I did there was say, take this action. But because I know it works, but I want you to double down on it. Double downing would be set a goal for how many times you're going to do that every single day, 5 days a week. So if you do that 10 times a day, that would be doubling down. Like right now, you probably do it a few times when you think about it. Doubling down is put it in your schedule to do it 10 times. You do it every single day, 5 days a week, and you repeat that for the next 30 days. Now, all of a sudden, that's 50 a week. You're probably going to get around a 70% response rate. So probably 35 of them are going to text you back. And out of those 35 that text you back, you are going to find somebody every week. Every single week, you are going to find somebody that you didn't know is ready to do business. Yeah, Deborah, I do. I do it from the cell phone. That's what I would be doing. Now, if you're going to do a campaign, which is another thing we should be doubling down on, then you could actually build a short campaign, and then say a two sequence campaign, which is maybe you email them, and then you actually, after 2 hours, you send a text and say, hey, did you get my email? So you could email them, hey, this is what's going on in the market. Please let me know if you'd like to look at properties. Then you could then have it an hour later, text them and say, hey, I'm not sure if you got my email. There's a few more properties coming on the market that might fit your needs. Any chance you might be available to look at property within the next week? Like there would be a 2-step workflow. Man, double down on that. I promise you, almost everybody, because I guess it won't be 100%. I promise you such a high percent of you will identify new pieces of business as soon as you do that one activity right there. And for those of you that are concerned about the market and whether or not you're going to be able to continue to grow, don't have any concerns. Recession-proof your business by getting into action. You got anything else, Abe?
Yeah, monthly newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
So do a monthly newsletter. Again, it's so crucial right now because whenever there's a transition between markets or a shift in the market, there's going to be a short period of time where there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of confusion out there in the consumer. This is the time for you to really step in and be the expert. Okay, this is the time for you to really step in and provide value and give value to people so they can remember you. So this is the time where you have to get your information out. Get them solid information, solid data, that they can have a better understanding of what's happening in the market. So a monthly newsletter, If you want to do it in the form of a video, that's great. If you want to just do the normal email newsletter, whatever, just something, just get something out there talking about what is happening in the market. And then follow it up with a text message, follow it up with a phone call or whatever, just to see if people got it and what questions they have on it. So,
Yeah.
so I would definitely be doing that.
And build that into a workflow, right, Abe?
Yeah.
Because build that into a workflow, and so you may have two different types of newsletters. This would be highly recommended. It takes just a little bit more time, but the effectiveness, the increase in effectiveness is extraordinary. And that is, you could create two newsletters, right? You could create one that's a little bit more geared towards buyers. And that newsletter could be an email and just say, hey, just wanting to give you an update on what's going on in the real estate market. Inventory has increased slightly, giving us all an opportunity to find the dream home we've always been looking for. Mm-hmm. In the past year, a lot of buyers had to settle for their second favorite property because there was no inventory. So right now, if you're still interested in looking, blah blah blah, and then you can have a few little data points. Newsletter goes out via your a workflow inside of Real Geeks, and 2 hours later on that day, a text, hey, did you get my newsletter? And then you do the same thing now and do it for sellers. Focus on sellers. Hey, I'm not sure if you've seen what's going on in the market. Inventory has increased. Not sure if the prices are going to soften. Keeping an eye on that. But if you thought about selling, it might be a good time right now. And then a few hours later, a text goes out and says, hey, I wanted to check to see if you got my email. Any chance that you might be thinking about selling? Now there's your workflow. So double down on that. Let that should be in your calendar. Every single month, you send a newsletter out to each one of those lead types inside of a workflow that is an email and then a text sequence. Do that every month. You're going to get business. If you really just take what we're saying, you're going to get business. I promise you. Good one there, Abe.
Let me add one more thing, Greg. So right now, the goal would be to touch every single person in your database in the next 90 days. And if you've got a smaller database, then 30 days, 10 days, 5 days, however big your database is, your goal is to touch every single one about the current state of the market and what you can help them with and what questions you can answer for them to kind of clear up what's going on.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think that's a great rule. Touch everybody in your database and do it in the next month. Do that. The last one I have before we get off is I'm going to go a little bit more of a marketing route. And, because I just think that it's not talked about enough. And that is retargeting the leads that have actually already, or the traffic that is already been on your website. So if you don't know, and you could go into the tutorials with Real Geeks, or if you want to get a higher level of coaching, you could join Real Geeks Mastery, which is even our my coaching program on Real Geeks. Just go out there and either message us about it or just Google Real Geeks Mastery Coaching. But what you can do is you can drop like a pixel onto your website that tracks the traffic and the IP addresses of the people who are visiting your website. Then you can run a Facebook ad. You can boost the post, and you could post something on Facebook, and the people that are going to see that post are the people that have already visited your website. There's a lot of people that visit your website but never sign up on your website. And we know the more times that they see your website, the more comfortable they're going to become with you as an agent. And the more comfortable they become with you as an agent, the more likely they're going to sign up and register, and then you're going to capture them as a lead. So if you want to kind of get into, say, some sort of paid advertisement to generate more leads, I would recommend you use the functionality that was built for us by Real Geeks, the Facebook posting tool, and then create a custom audience that is the audience that you're retargeting that's already visited your website. Now, I kind of messed up some of those words there, but I think that you're getting the gist of this. You can actually boost the post. It'll cost a few dollars. You can boost the post to people that have already visited your website. There's already some familiarity of you, and you want to double down on that because we know Lindsay says I'm good. Okay. Lindsay's the one that knows how to do all this. Darn it, Lindsay, I sound so smart, but I couldn't do anything that I say because I got somebody so special like you. Anyways, what you want to do is you want to double down on that one audience because you've already put a lot of work into them finding your website at some point. A little bigger push to connect with them again could push them over and now generate more leads. So it'd be a great way to introduce yourself into some sort of paid advertisement. It's low cost, low commitment, which makes for a great entry into online lead generation. That's all I got, Abe.
Yeah, that's it. Just get into action. Yeah, because if you think things have kind of dried up right now and you're not stepping up your activity, it's really going to get dry in a couple months.
I agree. Yeah, there's the market does not impact your production in a shifting market. Lack of activity impacts your production. So get into action.
All right, Greg. Thank you all for watching.
Bye, everybody.